Hi, sit under some chair. There's good chairs. Those are not as good as the black ones. Okay. Start. So, there's a few things coming in. We decided based on Hannah's request that was I gave. I don't have one. There's a few here that are, if you know it by heart, but the tune that I'm going to sing is different, so you're not going to, different tune than something you lose maybe the imprint in your mind of the words you know. So there's no chairs back there. Can you please pass chairs back? There's two chairs, two folding chairs here. There's one black chair.
There's some chairs.
Okay, so this is a very special tune. Adon Olam. Asher Malach. Oh, Yitzir Nivra. Let Nasa Bechefzoto. Azai Melech Shemo Nikra. Azai Melech Shemo Nikra. Yes, sing along. Be'acharei Bichalot HaKol Levado Imzor Ve'u haya ve'hu hoveh ve'hu yiyeh b'tifaram ve'hu yiyeh b'tifaram ve'hu echad ve'en sheni le'amshilo ira beni reshit beni tachlit ve'lo ha'oz ve'hamizrach ve'lo ha'oz ve'hamizrach ve'hu eli ve'chaydo ani ve'tzotev li ve'tzara ve'unisi umanos li ve'nat kosi ve'yom ekra ve'nat kosi ve'yom ekra Beyado Afkiduchi Beyad Isha Yaira Vimruchi Keviati Adoni Elohim Hashem li So the song goes from Baghdad. I just slow it down quite a bit. When I lose my voice, it's terrible. But it's a very sweet song. Okay.
It's almost like a spiritual.
Yeah. Razz it up and jazz it up. It's a spiritual. It's
a spiritual.
Okay. So, the things going on. Last week, we learned in class, and then I sent out a better translation of it. I hope everybody got it. Everybody who was here last week. Leshem Shvovach. Reb Shlomo Yeshiv. It was a very special text. And I hope that it helped also that I brought in the Hebrew and translated it a little bit more, more fully. And I want to go through it. Know where it's coming from, like what we're doing here. And so I created something else for this week, but mostly it's just charts. And I sent it out again. Whoever didn't get it, I'll be glad to send it. So these charts are basically the spherotic chart. It's the same chart over and over again. You have here a slight overlap, which I was glad I was able to get. The circles overlap with each other. They interact with each other. The first chart is the Sfirot, what I wrote. This is an attempt to depict the history of the world as a process of spiritual unfolding. So that will refer back to the Leshem taught us. He used the Sfirot, how history unfolds. That's very interesting. Like last year, we gave a class and we started with the 6 days of creation. And we also called it the spiritual history of the world. Really pre. We went into what happened on each of the 6 days of creation in preparation for this world, to bring about a physical world where there could be human beings with free will. Now, it struck me, every day during these weeks, we're learning about Avraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov, Ishmael, Yaakov, Esau. Soon we're going to get to Yosef. We can't wait till we get to Yosef, so I have to start talking about Yosef. So this is a preparation to start talking about Yosef, who Yosef is, what Yosef is, why the Mashiach ben Yosef figures so powerfully in the growth, what it has to do with us, with each one of us. There's so many Mashiach ben Yosefs. Well, what about Mashiach ben David? Why Adam was a Mashiach ben David, but he created the necessity of a Mashiach ben Yosef by not doing what he needed to do. So he created the necessity for that will come first, who will then return everything to where it started, and then Mashiach ben David can finish the job. The whole of this GEULAH Torah, this book that we gave out, that we haven't really looked inside yet, but I invite you to read it, to see how he writes the book. The book is written, the author didn't put his name on the book, but it's a very well done. The 7 chapters that start and then the actual chapters of the GEULAH Torah itself with notes, and then you have a really important contribution here. But you have to work for it. You have to read it. If you don't understand, the secret of all these things is when you don't understand, don't worry about it. You don't have to remember the details. Basically, it's you distance, you go and you try and catch some of the details. They're beautiful details. You come back and you see the mural better. You see the mural because now you've appreciated some of the details. You see better. The details, you may forget them, but it helps you to understand that what's being said in the as a whole has real substance to it. It's made of details. That's why details are important, but don't get caught thinking you have to understand and remember, because then you'll get bored and you'll never finish any of these books. Because the Torah books that we're translating nowadays, after Aryeh Kaplan started a new phase in Torah translation, real translation as opposed to Reader's Digest translation. That's a new phase in Jewish teaching. And it's harder. Primary texts, you're dealing with a mentality of people who wrote things in a very deep way. Like when they wrote, they were like really committed. They didn't have a lot of paper and pen. I don't know where they got their paper, what kind of paper they had. Like, it's not even clear to me. But whatever. Somehow we have these in front of us, and they did it. They brought it down. In a sense, a book is a cemetery. A cemetery where the person who wrote these ideas, who got them from up above, they went through his mind, they came to his hand, and they died on the page. And when we read it, we resurrect the dead. We read their words. We take them in. A movie. You see a movie. You don't understand the movie at all. You say, I got to meet the producer. I got to meet the guy who wrote the script of this movie. Okay, but I can't. I'm not gonna, I need to do it by looking at the movie and understanding what his thoughts were. When I do the movie, basically, you don't need the movie anymore. You thoughts of the director. Hashem made a creation. The creation is amazing. It's amazing. You look at it, it's crazy. It's so wondrous. Crazy and amazingly things. Well, I need the director. I need the producer. I need to know what he meant here. No, he's not going to tell you. He's not going to tell you in words that you can read. He's going to tell you in images. The language that God speaks is the language of the subconscious, the language of prophecy. But anyway, the point is that you see the movie, and when you start to intuit the meaning behind the movie fades away, and you have direct contact with them. Then the details, again, it's not important. It's like, whoa. It's like it becomes real. So if you read a book that's like hard and it's challenging, and you fall asleep every time you read it, like there's so much here. But you say, no, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to read. One of the ways to do it is to read out loud. Don't read silently. Read out loud. Use your voice. Be an actor. Okay, enough. So now we have have this in front of you. I sent it out to at least whoever is on the list. Raise your hands if you received this today. Maybe you didn't read it. You received it. Okay, that's valuable. What?
I printed it and forgot.
You printed out it. Okay.
Very
So what is it? Before I show you the items, this is a simple diagram of the 10 Sfirot. Okay, we'll hold it up. Like, simple to simple. Just don't get mixed up. That is a great sound. You're holding up this. Okay. Keter above the Keter Shel Yod, or Kotz Hayod, or Kutzo Shel Yod. It doesn't matter how you say it. It's the thing at the top of the Yod. It's not a letter. It's higher than all the letters. It's the fifth level of the four letter. So I have to call it something. In English, it's the apex of the Yod, right? And it corresponds to Keter. Keter is very special. It contains all of everything that's going to unfold from it in potential inside of itself. This is an unfolding. And so you have Chochmah and Bina on the right and the left, and they correspond to the Yud and the Hey. And you have 6 Sfirot here. I could have actually done it, but I didn't. Okay. But Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, it's a singular set of 6. It corresponds to the Vav, which is Gematria 6. And there are a few other things that are spaces about this. And then Malchut, of course. So that had to be the first one. The Leshem mentioned it last week in his in his presentation. It came up in conversation, so it's important just to take that in. This is a little bit more difficult. This is the partsufim, they're called. So what I say here in my little introduction is the same circles with the names of the partsufim. Partsufim correspond to the sfirot, but they're a little such that each partsuf contains its own set of sfirot. And I say an analogy is a symphony orchestra. You have 10 violins, 10 cellos, 10 pianos, 10 cymbals, 10 this and 10 that. And let's say that the 10 violins in the violin section correspond to the of Abba, which is really all Chochmah. They're called Abba, father, mother, son, and daughter, grandpa and grandma. This will come in handy later in the lesson. Right now, again, details you do not have to remember.
You can say that again slowly.
There's grandpa and grandma up here in a complete unity, and the names of them are not important at the moment. This is Abba and Ima, right brain and left brain, Chochmah and Bina. But they're not just Chochmah, the specific sphere of Chochmah, but they are each one is an all-inclusive that contains an entire system within itself. So it's one big system, and then it's a holographic system such that even each of the details contains all of the details. There's all kinds of beautiful teachings about how they interact with each other. And we said, maybe you said it once a while ago, I don't know when. The sphere of Keter are under the rubric of Atika Kedisha and P. This Keter says to Chochmah, I'm giving you my Chochmah. You give me your Keter. It says to Bina, I'm giving you my Keter. I'm giving you my Bina. You give me your Keter. Keter gets all of everybody else, but it gives of itself. They become inclusive of each other. It's like we're all at this table, and we all decide to include each other. We all have aspects of each other in each other. We're all giving our chesed to Miriam. We're giving our gevura to Elliot. And giving our malchut to Talia. What would that mean? It's very vague, it's very, very, very abstract at first. But it means that in a minyan, for instance, what's supposed to be going on in a minyan is that we're geometrically, we're more than 10 people. It's a geometric progression. Every single person adds a whole new magnitude of numbers, because it brings out, every new person brings out in me and you more aspects. Every meeting we have, I'm not explaining it so great, it is what it is. But obviously it is not the main subject class. It's just an idea that it has the same diagram as the others. Let's go to the next one.
So could we say that the part of my personal of you that's in me, I'm giving to you.
And vice versa.
Right. And we're all doing that with each other.
Yes, children, husbands, wives, family. Like in family, it even works even more easily. Is that the father can see himself in his son and his daughter. The mother can see herself. We can see each other in each other. What we do with it is really a mystery. Usually we get part of our child that is like us, right? We don't like that. We're afraid. We haven't processed our own being. So family dynamic, knowledge of the family, then my relationship with our family. This is a whole uncharted territory, right? That's what Kabbalah can help us with. It's not the only thing, but in our generation, when there's a confluence of wisdom, so-called. There's no such thing as really secular wisdom, but there's a confluence of secular wisdom, of wisdom coming down through people who think they're secular, let's say, and spiritual wisdom, right? That's together, that we can start to understand things in a unified, holistic way.
So any person I'm going to interact with, I can find the part of me that's in them, and we're, as we're using this, and vice versa. The implication of that is humanity is within me, in some speck everywhere. So whatever person I meet, any person I have the potential to really interact with, is something of that person.
All of humanity,
yes.
The entire universe is in each one of us. Get that? We're made of stardust. We're not just made of the earth. Behind earth, physicalness is energy that comes from higher levels, the sun and above. So we have the whole history of the universe within us. That really this will come up. It's right for the moment. The whole universe is in each one of us, an entire universe. We have a Moshe, we have a Sarah, we have etc. We have incredible things, right? The reading of the Torah every week for a whole year is in order to arouse those characters, the essence, qualities of those characters in our lives. And of course, the Haftarahs, the Davids, and the various different stories of Eliyahu and Navi. It's all in story form, so it really goes in, it bypasses the left brain, and it goes in through the right brain. But even then, we have to appreciate what we're trying to do here in this class, beginning in this class, is to appreciate a little bit of the deeper Torah. It's not a religion per se. It's a spiritual revelation of reality, of what's going on behind the scenes. We'll come back. All right, this is a game changer. Here you have in the top corner, Adam. He is the Keter. He has Cain and Hevel. He has Shet, his third son. After a few generations, you have Noah. Right now, I'm just doing it very simply. You remember what this all started with is the last. We showed this a number of times. I just didn't have it. I hadn't done it on my computer. The Ari is the Keter. He has 4 rivers that flow out of him, 4 schools of thought. We're trying to understand how history unfolds, come to us. And they come to us in seed package form, and we're supposed to sprout them and grow them in ourselves. Right? Knowledge of a teacher usually comes in small packages, and the student does not know all that he's getting in those seeds. Those seeds then open up inside of the student. Right? That's Chabad teachings. It's all about this. Here is the Chochmah, Bina, and the Dart. The student is the Netzach Yesod. So the teacher has to embody his knowledge, which is up here, right? Let's say, in a little child's brain that's only down here. So he uses models, he uses puzzles, he uses blocks, he uses strings, he uses all kinds of things. Physical, that's how mathematics are taught nowadays, the new math. Although the math every year, because they're never satisfied and they eventually have to go back and then they get mixed up with sets, right? It's 10, about 10 oranges, 10 eggs, 10 this, and then you get, oh, there's such a thing as 10. You have to learn concrete first, and then you're able to abstract it out. So the examples that are given are called Netzach Yesod or Netzach Yesod Malchut, physical, and then you begin to develop it. Over years, we develop things. Things that I learned from the very beginning are just coming to fruition now. It's crazy. I wish it wouldn't have taken so long. Okay, this is the started with. We said that the Ari is like the Keter. He includes all these 4 schools within himself, but the world wasn't ready for it. It took 100 years to publish even the first books of They weren't. It was like very hard. You couldn't get this stuff out. It was a whole like hit and miss thing. Who would do this, and who was able to write the book, and then who was able to get it printed? You know how hard it was. How hard it is for me to put in a book. Like what it was like for them. So he was the Keter, and then 250 years later, basically, it's a whole different. There is a possibility of saying that there's a tree of life thing within the Ari himself. He had nine students, and that corresponds to the 9 spheres. I didn't correspondences, so I left it out. But what we have here is a generational leap. That these 4 teachers, Rashash, Reb Sar Shalom Rabbi, all this is written down in the thing that I sent you. Rabbi Chaim Luzzatto, Gra, Rabbi Eliyahu HaGaon Mivilna, Baal Shem Tov, Rabbi Yisrael ben Eliezer. So there's a system here that of knowledge unfolds and comes down into the world. What we're trying to do now is to go back and show that it didn't start with the Ari. It starts with Adam. It starts with the Sfirot. But Adam is a very important key here. After Adam, there's an Avraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, the 12 tribes, right? And Am Yisrael, just in order to give you a working model. Oh, Avraham includes all of these. Then they start to mitparet, they start to unfold and come down into an Am, into a people who becomes a people and who embodies these higher energies within them. Yes, I'm sorry. In here, 12 tribes is the hope. It's the hope for the whole messianic process, the unfolding of the messianic process, the bringing that light into our generation, to connect each one of us to our higher mission. We've spoken about it a number of times.
So part of that.
Excuse me?
The Imat is so part of that?
The Imat, of course. This Avraham, Yitzhak, Rivka, Yaakov, Rachel, and there's no question about it. This is simplified very.
And what's the last one after that?
Am Yisrael. Am Yisrael. You have it grows down into, there's more of us here, but it all comes and it roots up into here. Here you have this is Pirkei Avot. You have Moshe gives over to Yeshua, who gives over to the Zakenim, the elders, and then the period of the Nevi'im starts. Interestingly enough, between Yeshua and Shmuel and Nevi, there's a number of judges of the book of Judges, right? And that's called the Zakenim. And then we have Anshe Knesset GEULAH. So the first mission in Pirkei Avot says Moshe got Torah Sinai. He received the Torah at Sinai. It's very interesting. It's Sinai. Everybody tries to interpret like what it means, why it says Sinai. He didn't get the Torah from Sinai. Come to that for the moment. Moshe kibel Torah Sinai u'misara Yoshua, and he transmitted it to Yoshua. Yoshua is the Zakenim, to the elders. The Zakenim u'Zakenim the Nevi'im. They transmitted it to the Nevi'im. And there's a lot. It's a 1,000-year period. And then the Nevi'im Mesaruha, they transmitted it, the Torah that came from Moshe, to the Anshe Knesset GEULAH. And then when you see Knesset GEULAH, what was the Malchut of the previous epic becomes the Keter of the following epic. Is that clear? Right? It's the same with the Ari. The Ari we showed, but he's really just the Malchut of all that came before him. We're just this one system below the other. More details that would really basically boggle the mind. But this is an attempt to simplify it into a handleable system. So you have Anshe Knesset GEULAH, Tanaim Amoraim, this is the major, and also Gaonim, the three sets of masters who lived for basically the year 1000. We're talking about from, it's a 1500 year period, the beginning of Naim and into the Amoraim and the Gaonim. And then you have the Rishonim and Achnim, we come up to our days. So it's suggestive. I'll work with it a little bit as we go, but I wanted to show it to you. I want it to be yours. I want the doctors to be kind of impressed on you. I have been here with Reb Shlomo Bar Yochai and his 10 students, but they're also spherotic. It's really, don't get Reb Shlomo Bar Yochai, Rabbi Abba, etc., the different names of the 6 other students, and then Rabbi Yesa Sab. It's again, the same thing. So what I wrote here is, basically what I gave over now. Okay, fine.
These pages could all basically fit on top of each other. It's all the same format for all the different groupings.
Beautiful. The big one, and then each one of them comes down and dresses up on the bottom of the previous one. Mm-hmm. Right? It's like and really beautiful examples of this. One is that it says in the Gemara, I think it's 26b or something, that a certain rabbi was very tall, and the next shoulders, and he just goes and counts rabbi after rabbi. One came up to the shoulders of the other, and they were still very tall, but this was only came up to this one's shoulders. So once we were in the old city on Purim, and my family, we had a guy else. I don't remember who he was anymore. Married to somebody we knew. So we had me standing in front of the guy with stilts, my wife standing in front of me, my oldest son, my second son, my third son, my daughter, son, fifth, son, sixth, right? And it was really, but all of our feet were on the same level, right? That was like really what happened. So that's how the generations come down, is we dress up on the previous generations. We receive, to the extent possible, the light of their higher 3 sfirot, their Keter Chochma Bina. All that to us is from the shoulders down, which is from the Chesed Gvura Tiferet. But the seed of the Chochma Bina Vadat is in there, and so our job always is to develop, not just take the superficial, but to develop. How do we do that? We process what we learn. We don't just take a book at face value. I know this book. We process, internalize it. Who is Moshe in me? How do we relate to Eliyahu? How do we relate to David? I don't think this. I personalize the Torah because I want to know what it's like, what the Torah means for me. So it's an old idea that was first turned from an old friend 30 years ago, to do processing. Every class should have a process at the end where we talk about it. I don't do that, right? I try and process it during the class, but the point is, there's a whole process that has to go on. If you do make notes during a class, for instance, most of us put those notes away and maybe never see them again. But it's really helpful to rewrite them. That's hard. That's really pushing it. Okay, so you can't rewrite them. Think about them. Make 1 or 2 main things that you got from the class. Very valuable. The sooner you class, especially if the class, there were things in it that meant something to you. Like I think last week we talked about that this is not just intellectual knowledge. I made a whole thing out of it. This is stuff that our soul wanted to hear. We knew it, but nobody was saying it. Yeah, we need somebody to confirm that really is true, that we really are part of something big, that we were born in a special time, and this is why we've gone through everything we've gone through. And every single one of us is a personal story where there's God in that story. It's not a philosophical abstraction. It's, yes, I have lived something that is very important in the history of the world, but I have to bring it out, the process. I need the Torah to do a Torah on my life, so to speak. Okay, where am I? Definitely, any questions that come up, I'll try and be with you in that question. Take a second. We'll go to the next stage. Go back into the lesson from last week and read it inside together. And basically, I'm going to try and open it up a little bit more. My style is for some, but it's based on how to learn, how to use a text as a off into higher understanding, and then coming back, going up and coming down, coming down, until it's something that it's not just somebody else's words anymore. It's something that's made for me to have read. I want this. He's resting now. Oh, can I bother you? Remember we had a conversation yesterday about who are these teachers? How did you relate to them? What was the problem? And what was the what?
Well, it was trying to get inside of them what they were doing and accomplishing so that we could get to that with them.
But one of the major things was like he didn't know when the Ari lived and Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai lived.
Didn't have any sense of any of that.
So how did we deal with that?
Well, you went through the order of when they each existed. What time, when were they alive, when did they function, who came first, who came second, who came third, and how each one built on the others before him. And so they were, as they went through, they evolved to where the later had so much more data to pull on and experience than the earlier ones. The early ones were great because they were given it from Shemayim, and they were given this special messages. I don't know if that's answering.
Right. Yeah. We said an interesting thing. We said that the Gra lived during the 1700s. The Baal Shem Tov, the Gra, the Ramchal lived during the 1700s. Whereas in the 1500s, when the Ari lived, and when the Spanish Inquisition was taking over all of Europe, the Jews were in a much, much more difficult situation. We were basically exiled, and we moved from Spain, moved eastward, some up into Holland, and some straight east into Turkey, and then we came down into Israel. The Ottoman Empire was here. We were poor. There was hardly any infrastructure. 250 years later, when the Ramchal, the Gra, the Baal Shem Tov were alive in Europe, it was still hard. The Jewish community in Europe was still under a big, when the poverty was incredible. But it was right. There was still things you could develop.
It was less difficult.
Civilization was developing, that certain things could be done that couldn't be done in the time of the Ari.
Right.
1800s, a whole different story. Modernization in Europe had a huge influence on our to understand the ideas of the Ari and those who came, right? Something was happening. So that as history unfolds and things become more and more visible to us, maybe, or the scientific knowledge and the technological know-how they contribute to our understanding of the spiritual knowledge that was passed down to us. So I can't do too much of it, but that point is what I was looking for, is that the way that Hashem is allowing history to unfold toward the 20th century, 21st century, and of course technology developing in a way and more quickly than ever before, which is us an ability to understand spiritual ideas in a way that only prophets and very few individuals could understand back then. It was there, but you had to be a visionary. Now you could be just us. This stuff is available to us. You see the process. I'm not articulating it maybe as well as I went, but there's a process. There's more kalim and less light. There's more vessels. There's more of us to build on with quantum physics and relativity, etc. And the light of the spirituality is less. They had much more then. But because we have more vessels, right, we can understand things that were only understandable by people of very high caliber back then. So there's almost like, yes.
I'm sorry. Why isn't the Maharal in this picture?
He definitely is. He was born before the Ari and died after the Ari. He spans the life of the Ari. It's just that he was in Prague. He wasn't released. He wasn't part of this flow. So I'm not including him because it's not part of the what I'm speaking about. But for sure, he was very important thinker. The fact that the Ari never met him. They didn't know about each other on the physical plane, but whatever. Maybe spiritually we're very connected.
Sutton?
Yeah.
It seems a bit, they're in the span of Jewish history, these guys are pretty much newcomers. Recent. It's not that old compared to our history. So it's not random, but it's a little bit like, where did it all start and come from? I had somebody ask me that, like, this is great, but like, it's not, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's not Chumash. It's like, it's.
And go back, I mean, I came up into the more modern time because there are certain things Leshem was saying last week, which are that from the fourth century of the sixth millennium, which is from 50, that's the story of the clock of the
So that's why. So there was a certain.
That's where I'm going now,
so
but not that I can't go back to Avraham and Adam. That's where I go all the time. That's why my book, Spiritual Technology, my book, Living Waters, my book, Mashiach ben Yosef David, it's all about them. Right. I want to go there. I want to get to Yosef. I want to get to those things. But I needed to create almost in like a way of looking at who they are through the eyes of the Baal Shem Tov. You need a little bit of help to go and see what an incredible wealth of wisdom is back there in the Chumash. What do you want to say?
No, so the idea is then that it's not just random that all of a sudden it's something that's got that cosmic reality, meaning that these secrets were sort of broken open at a certain point in history that because we needed to have this knowledge.
Definitely.
The pattern.
Yeah, it's following a divine pattern of going down, down, down. The body of history here, which I use, right? That the first souls that were born came. The Gemara says in 4 places that there's a treasury of souls in heaven called Guf. So why is it called body? Why is the treasury of souls called body? First reason, simple reason, is because they are all destined to be born. The souls in the treasury of souls have to be born. And we are now the feet, right? We're the soles of the feet. The deeper level here, because the higher souls came from the head, from Adam to Yaakov, they went into the neck of history, which is Egypt. They came out into the upper torso, which is the desert. They came into the land of Israel, which is the solar planet, and built the first temple. There's an actual pattern here that follows the Phantom, the Ramchal, others. They go into what an incredible form this is. Why this corresponds to a Yud. And why the arms correspond to a Hey, and the torso to a Vav, and the legs from the pelvis down to a Hey. we're in a divine form. So there's layers and layers and layers of wisdom that I do my best to share. Okay, we are coming more into the modern, into the what Hashem was talking about is how as you get closer to the end of history, the light shines from there. Is getting farther and farther from Sinai. But as the light gets closer, as we get closer and more illumination comes down, it illuminates the entire panorama of history. So again, from Adam to Mashiach is a very fundamental thing where you be able to go back and forth easily. Adam is the child of mankind. It's the birth of mankind. The womb is Eden. The birth of mankind is the loss of Eden, the loss of the womb. We are now outside of the womb. Adam now falls into history. And now we have to attain what was given to us in Eden through our own efforts. That's what history is according to the Torah. And the Messianic age is what starts to come together. It's a broken puzzle. It's hard. It's a difficult trek. It's a journey that so many of us have been lost, right? But from heaven, if you the heavenly vision that in the end, all this will come together, all the generations will come back, and nothing will be lost. That's a hope. Can I tell you? It's a collation for all the pain that we've gone through. What do you want to say, Anita? Mama?
Amazing that you just said we have to attain what was given to us through our own effort. It's
Right.
incredible.
So Eden is stage 1. History is stage 2. The Messianic era is stage 3. Stage 3 is when you get back what you had in stage 1. But you've done something. It's now yours. You've it. It's not something that you lose easily. When it's given to you as a gift, as a loan, then it's taken away. Well, what do? Stage 2 is always a difficult thing. Avraham is stage 1. Yitzhak is stage 2. Yitzhak's life is very different than Avraham and Yaakov. It's because that stage 2 is a breakdown. The lights get closed. Everything that was great during Avraham, I lose. I have to regain it through my own efforts. And then I get to Yaakov and Yisrael. Stage 1, stage 2, stage 3 is a fundamental paradigm in the Torah. And so therefore stage 2 is all of his, or each one of us in our individual life. We had our own womb existence. Our sages say that we learned everything we would ever need to know in the womb. And then we were meant to forget it. And all of life is a remembering of that Torah that we in the womb. And maybe not even literally in the womb. It's really what we learned in heaven. And there are schools in heaven, and there are classrooms, and there are detox centers for going up after you've been here. And there's teaching, and there are master souls. And back down here every time, and we just get disconnected from them. At least it seems to be. And yet we have to know as we develop our consciousness that we are connected, and that they've never left. Always overseeing what's going on. They, the great souls with whom we are connected, they care for us. But for us to know that is like so hard. We have to struggle and ask, please allow me to what it means that there is a Moshe, that there is a sorrow, that they're still very, very much involved in history. And that it will be a time when heaven will come down to earth. All the deeper, the souls who attain those levels of consciousness will come down and we'll meet them. And they'll reveal to us how they were there with us. These are real things for me. So I'm not, but I guess those are the most important things I have to say here, basically. So I'm going to go back into what we learned last week, but basically in the print out afterwards. If you don't have it, if you do have it, please bring it out. Because it's a text, that with any Torah text of this nature, you want to be able to really get it before you go to the next thing. For before the revelation of the Sifra Tzniuta and the Idrot, almost all the lights of Arich Anpin, which is Keter, and Abba, which is Chochma, and Ima, which is Bina, Haklalili, all the lights of the upper three Sfirot were hidden before Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai began to reveal them its times, mostly basically toward the end of his life. He had said before that forbidden to speak about these high levels. But then at the end of his life, he started speaking about them freely and openly. So the Leshem basically set for himself the task of explaining, why did you say at the beginning of the Zohar that you, or the beginning of the Etz Chaim with the Ari, that you can't talk about certain things, and then you started talking about them. So his theory is that as you get closer to Mashiach, what was forbidden to speak about yesterday is permitted today, because something happens through life itself, the unfolding of history. And then he says an interesting thing. He says, what is forbidden to talk about, category of Ein Sof. So I thought I would a little bit. What does that mean? Again, these things were hidden. The Keter, the Chochmah, and the Bina of the way God runs history were largely hidden from us. They were only in vague hints. Mostly what was talked about was the 7 lower Sefirot. So we explained last week, that means that the emphasis is on human action, accountability. The 7 lower Sefirot are the system of accountability, the system of consequences, of mida kineged mida, of action-reaction, of the law of definition and boundary and law and order. Then in order to come down to this earth, it's a corridor. To get to the higher levels, you have to clear your actions, clean your thoughts. The Torah is about people who were able to do that. And so therefore their stories that they tell us and who came after them are emphasizing to us, you can do it also. Through this Torah, you can purify yourself and you can live your life on a higher level. But there's a level of the Keter that they're not telling us about in most cases. It's that even if you've done wrong, even if you've made mistakes, that's part of your life also. It's not totally your fault. It's not totally your fault. The higher level of God's plan is that our souls have to come down into a lower world to learn these lessons and to make mistakes. And to still know that there's a deep love behind it. That's hidden. It's there in the prophets. God says, "Berega katanich uberachamim gedolim akabetzech." For a slight, single, tiny little moment, I'm abandoning you, but I will gather you in with great mercies. Or, for my sake, I will do. In other words, I won't do it just because I wanted you to do it, mankind. Israel, I want you to be responsible and to bring the about through your actions. It's pretty heavy to put that responsibility on us. So once in a while, Hashem would reveal to us, it's really that I'm going to do it. I run it through you. I want you to. I make it hard for you, but it's also that you can do it, because that's who I know you can do it. But really behind the scenes, I'm there for you. That behind the scenes was not always revealed. It was not always revealed in the Jewish family, revealed in the Beit Din. The Beit Din was a system of judgment. The family became a system of judgment. We said last week that when love is hidden too much, it becomes brittle. Life becomes brittle, and Judaism becomes overwhelmingly difficult. So Yeshua Bar Yochai, at a certain point in his life, said, I'm going to lift the curtain up and tell you how much Hashem loves you. Because especially after the destruction of the temple, you have to know it's not on, and you're going to be able to do it. Life is going to be different now. But you have to know this is a huge story. It doesn't start and end with the Beit HaMikdash. It's much bigger than that. And then after the Inquisition, the Ari comes not over. Inquisition because they're killing us, and all they want to do is to kill us and to make us to give up our religion. So I have to reveal to you there's a whole different level of existence of why the universe is being run like it is. It's a messianic unfolding. You're part of something big.
When Hashem says, I heard my food, that moment
Nachon, it is a difficult thing because it's much longer for us down here. If we look back and say it's just a moment, it's like really not such an easy thing, yeah. But that's what it is. Isaiah chapter 40, he goes up and he says, I was in Al-Chuga Aretz, there's a compass. So he says, I saw the entire world, and everybody down there was like Chagavim, was like grasshoppers. And I had a vision where I was up above, right? He's literally giving us a methodology to be able to see our own selves, to leave our own body, and to go up to a higher level of disembodiment and look down on ourselves and see it from above. To be catapulted above space and time, to see all future and for all past in one glance. The prophets gave us their prophecies, but in the midst of their prophecies, they're giving us the secrets of how to see what they saw. When we see it from there, it looks different. From then everything that goes on in the 7 lower sphere changes. It's very hard down here. It becomes Egypt. Egypt is servitude. Egypt is not freedom. But you go up to Chochmah, Bina, and Keter, you get freedom. You see things from up there. Down with that. You become an Ari. You become a Baal Shem Tov. You become a Ramchal. You become a Rashash. You become somebody who has compassion, who helps people through their day, because you're able to give them the ability to hope and to believe in themselves. It's a hard Torah to give over.
But the midstream stop us doing.
Yes.
Precisely that. Going up and seeing things from
Right. And Moshe goes to Sinai, and he's lifted up. Moshe, he's supposed to take off his shoes with his body and to be completely irradiated with the higher level of his own soul. Moshe, Hashem calls him. And he says, oh God, now go back to Egypt and confront Paro. He says, no, don't. That's not for me. I'm not going back there. No, I brought you here and I took you out of your body and he gave you this incredible illumination so you could go back to Paro. 7 days he argued with him until he convinced him. In prophet. And he goes back to Paro and he gets the children of Israel out of Egypt. It means he brings all of the sparks of holiness that are trapped in the lower aspects of our personalities, and he brings them up to Sinai. And he brings them here to the same experience that he had. Moshe is our own inner point of godliness within us. When it's in the Torah by Dever Hashem el Moshe lemor, Rav Zush used to go into the table and say, by Dever Hashem el Moshe lemor. That's all he would like to say over and over again. The Maggid of Midrash was giving a shir, and like he lost out on the whole shir, just saying, by Dever Hashem el Moshe lemor. Because that was enough for Zush. Hashem speaks to Moshe. And when he was saying it over and over again, he knew that Moshe is us, the deep, deep, deep part of us that receives the word of Hashem. Yes, question.
Like, I need to go back to the world was created with 2 human beings, right? We were created by God in absolute perfection and put into a land of perfection. And is the Rav saying that like it was inevitable that to mess up so that what if they hadn't messed up? And was it actually inevitable that they would mess up? And if it was inevitable, why are they responsible for it? And why are we responsible for it?
Exactly. So the Leshem, being who he was, being born exactly when he was and developing, born in 1841 and living till 1926, he was in a position to answer you like nobody else was. So also is Rav Ashlag, who lived. But I'm more of a Leshem student, so therefore I go by him. But that's Rav Ashlag, a very deep connection to the Zohar, is they both became the ones revealed how the deeper secrets of the Torah impact on how you and I look at ourselves. So, yes, there is a thing that, and he brings sources of 31b in Brachot, the top of 32a. Where the sages say, what I call the sin of Judaism. Usually talk 99% that you're responsible for everything you do, and if you screwed up, it's your fault, and you have to pay for it, and there's consequences. But there's a 1% that says, Hashem says, I made you do it. I had to do it that way. It's for your good, ultimately, it's for your benefit. It might seem unfair while it's happening, but in the end, you'll thank me. At the end of the movie. I'm sorry to say, the end of the movie is a concept that, for me, I wasn't willing to wait till the end of the movie. So I jumped to the end of the movie and met with God. And now the way I'm living now is I know, I understand that he's here also. But the end of the movie is when he reveals to us that everything we went through was somehow for our good. Now, I can't say that about somebody else. I can say it for myself. I don't want to be Job's friends, or Job's friends went and said to him, you must have done something wrong, Job. Like, things don't happen to people like this unless they did something wrong. And Job kept saying, I didn't. Just, he defended himself in this eloquent, long hums. Job's defending himself, and each of his first three friends are coming and saying, Job, come on, will you stop it? Please, stop it. And then the friend comes, is Miss Elihu ben El. Elihu ben Birachel. Elihu, the son of the Blessed One of God. Gematria Mashiach ben David. Elihu ben Birachel, Mashiach ben David. And he says, not from this lifetime, Job. Like, just stop defending yourself. In this lifetime, you've been great, but it's not only for now. It's a much bigger picture. So on the top of 2a in Brachot, the rabbis say some really very special things. I can't do it balpeh. I'm willing to share it with you. I did translate it. It's ready. It's in the computer. One of the things they say there is that when Moshe says at the beginning of the book of Deuteronomy, when he's going over the entire 40-year trek in the desert, and he says, reminds them all the places that they were and what happened in each place, in subtle hints. And one of them is called Di Zahav. The rabbi said there's no such place as Di Zahav. So they say, refer to had Dai Zahav, they had a lot of gold, which is when they left Egypt with the wealth of Egypt, plus what they got at the Red Sea. And then at Sinai, after the revelation at Sinai, they made a golden calf. And so the Talmud 32a gives an analogy. You take a little boy, a 17-year-old young man, and he's virile. He has all the kochot, and you wash him up, and you anoint him, and you perfume him, and you put him in a great suit of clothes, and you put a purse of gold on his neck, and you stand in the red light district. Will this young man not sin? Like, God, you gave them all this gold. Like, hello, it's not their fault. The Gemara is this 1% Gemara that peeks out when it says, Hashem, give us an idea, like, what's going on? Why is history such a bad scene? Why do things go so wrong? Why did you put us in this? So Hashem reveals to us through these deep teachings the idea of the movie, that we're in a movie, and that we've come down to play these parts. In each lifetime, we play these parts. And then we go back upstairs and we understand exactly what happened and why we did what we did and what our part was. And those detox schools upstairs. And the mistakes we made and all that. And we learn and we grow. I don't have...
Does that enable us up there to forgive ourselves for the things that we cannot forgive ourselves down here?
And God upstairs allows us to forgive ourselves for the things that we weren't able to forgive ourselves for down here. He shows us why we need to go through what we went through. Okay, I'm not saying that responsibility goes out the window. It's accountability within a framework of love. It's a school of hard knocks within a greater framework of a universe in which Hashem wants to reveal his great love to us. So there is this accountability. It's real. It's called din, right? But when it's seen in its larger context, that takes texts to learn. It's not exactly what this course is about. I don't know. I might have to do it. I don't have a course plan. I'm not a 75-year-old teacher who has taught course for 4 years and who's bored teaching it. I'm excited, but I'm also, as I said at the beginning of the class, it's a birth for me. It's birthing these things. It's not easy. So to say that I'm driving you crazy is an understatement. I'm trying to learn a text, and I'm willing to interact with you, and I got stuck on one thing, and then a question was asked. I want to answer. I want to help, but there's no way for me to learn it like this with you. I need to just forget. I need to recalibrate. Like, what am I doing here? I'm trying to give over a personal sense of meaning and use all these great examples and come back to a personal sense of profound connection. As I said, that's the most valuable thing I can give. I go away saying it was too complicated. It was too much here. I don't know what he was trying to do.
If it's 1%, how much are we supposed to give it 1%? It sounds like you want us to give it more than 1%.
No, it's the 1% of Judaism. It's the Gra says that history is a 999 incremental steps towards a great 1,000, towards revelation. The 49 days of the Omer leading to the 50th day Shavuot. The 999 of history is our work, the field within which we do our work. Hashem gives us tastes, he gives us moments of understanding, but mostly it's hard work. I want to touch on the 1,000, where it's all going. Why? That we'll come back and see retroactively the 999 all the way back to the very beginning and see it with different eyes. What Reb Shlomo is revealing when he's uncovering Keter. There's no. So the 1%
it's
is
1% of 100% that you're not really being shown, if that's what I understand correctly. Meaning if the 1% that's peeking out, and if you could clear away everything, it's 100%.
It's 100% behind everything.
Okay.
From our point of view, it might be the 1%, and everything else is 999%, and it just takes up all of our. But when we get to that level, then it basically changes. It switches around. This becomes the 0.001, and that's the 99.999.
That's the point that's beyond time and space. So that's why there's going to be, when it flips over, that's why it's going to become 100. That's, you can't really get it now, correct?
I want to get it now. I'm saying because it's above time, it's above space, it's above our ability to, so we can't get it fully, but there's a way to get it. When we say Kadosh, 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 Adonai Sevaot Melech Haaretz Kevodo, Hashem, you are beyond. But then Hashem is already coming down, and you are the Lord of all the hosts of heaven and earth, and your glory fills the world. I internalize it. I know that I can't internalize the whole thing because you're really beyond anything I can know. But whatever I can, I bring it down and I put it in my heart and I keep it there as a treasure. Because that's right. I can't take everything out of the treasury upstairs, but I can bring down what is appropriate for me at this moment. Shema Yisrael, the same thing. I go up into oneness. I touch oneness. I close my eyes to the world, to the illusion of this world. I go deep inside and I my own deep connection to God. I come back down to the 348 words of the Shema. I try and internalize it in all the deep, dark valleys and alleys and back alleys of my life. Even there, the light has to flow so that everything becomes redeemed. It's going up and coming down. It's going in and coming out. It's Adon Olam, which is Gematria 207, the master of the world, and it's Ein Sof, Gematria 207, the one who's infinite, who's beyond the world. When I say Adon Olam, and I see God through the lattice work of this world, I see through the illusion and the disguise to the Ein Sof behind. Again, Adon Olam is the hidden eternal master of the world. He hides in his world. He's the Melech HaOlam, the king who hides in this world. And when I see that, I don't see him. I see the world and the world hides him. But I can see through the world. The world reveals him to me. And I close my eyes and I cover my eyes. Oh my goodness, it is Ein Sof himself. Then I open my eyes to see Adon Olam again, the hidden God. Then I close my eyes and I see Ein Sof, something much bigger. Until I start, it's called wave and particle. I go into the wave and I come back out as a particle. A particle by nature doesn't feel its connection to the wave. It feels lonely. It's stage 2. But when it comes to the wave and it goes into the water and it becomes subsumed and immersed in the water, it's so joyous and so amazing. Then when it comes back out of the water, it's not so hard anymore. I know that I can do that. And I come back out. God wants me to be me. He wants me to stand on the ground. But he wants me to have had that deep experience, that oceanic experience of being part of his oneness, of knowing that he loves me. Again, love is full basic. And in Judaism 101, it's left out because it's all accountability. So what I'm trying to show here is that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai is revealing what the Ari then reveals more of, and what the Baal Shem Tov reveals more of, and each one in his own way, that Hashem's love is so great. It's all encompassing. That's what this revelation of this wisdom comes down. And then we can go back and see it in Adam. We can go back and see it in Avraham. We can go back and see it even in Yitzhak. We can certainly see it with Moshe. Each one suffered and each one endured, but each one connected to Hashem's love at that very high level and brought it back down with them and gave hope and gave solace to their generation. That's really the whole system in a nutshell, what I just said. These are the moments that I'm waiting for, that I can actually clear away the underbrush. It's not academics. They'll throw me out of university. Wave and particle.
Wave and particle is Chachman Bina.
It's also Vav and Hey. Vav is a Wa, is a Wav, is a wave. And then Hey, which is the Gemat, which is the Shechina, comes down. That's this world. But when we connect up to the Vav, we become washed. We become right, and then we come back down again. And going up and coming down, going in and coming out. It's not an intellectual process. You can use intellect. You must use information. You must gather in certain things more precious than others. If a name comes up, again, Shechina, Baal Shem Tov, Rabbi Nachman, these are names that mean something, have a certain quality to them in our generation. Why? Because they revealed the deeper level of our lives. They gave us hope that even we, who are so nothing, can be completely belong to ourselves and to others and to God. They're giving us life. Rabbi Nachman spoke about Talmid Chacham Shed, a Talmid Chacham who is a demon, because the Torah that he gives over, he kills his because he makes them feel that they'll never be worthy of being close to God. Rabbi Nachman fought against that. He said the Torah has to give life. A person has to feel that he is also part of this. That's why Yosef had a coat of many colors given to him by his father. See, already jumping to Yosef, you're going to get more of this in Hanukkah. But Yosef had a coat of many colors because he could take the white light that he got from Yaakov and relate to every single person at his frequency, at his color, and give them the knowledge that they too are beloved of God. Yosef went down to the Bilhas and the Zilpas, to the children of Zilpah, the children of Bilhah, who are Bilahot, Rabbi Nachman says, who are confused, who don't know who they are, who have negative thoughts, who are overcoming them all the time. And when you have negative thought, then it's very hard to break the syndrome. You just think negatively about yourself, as every single person in this room knows.
But he wasn't able to do that till he went through a certain amount of suffering himself, because he had that coat when he was younger, but he wasn't really able to use it till he was older.
And then
But he turned his brother, he didn't know how to use it.
okay, that's the whole story of Yosef. Maybe he did wrong by coming and saying things to his father about his brothers. But there was a whole family thing going on there that Rashi reveals to us. That the children of Leah held the children of Zilpah and Bilhah in contempt. And he was the child of Rachel. And he saw this. He saw this dysfunctionality in the family. And he went to the children of Zilpah and the children of Bilhah, the children of the maidservants, and said, I'm hanging with you guys. And he was the tzaddik who went into the discotheque, so to speak. He said, you guys are awesome. I should love you so much. The children of Leah are really, they're the ones who are, in their egos, are wrong. Okay, so afterwards we say that Yosef was sent to exile because he didn't handle it right. But this is not simple. He did the best he could by going to the underdog. And Rabbi Nachman himself identified with this and gives over this Torah and says, that's who we have to be. You have to be Yosef's. You have to be the doctor that goes to the patient and not expect the patient to come, to the degree, the hair doctor who's such a big egotist. No, the true doctor is able to love even he who is farthest away. When you say Kadosh, the first Kadosh starts here and goes up to here and comes down to here. The second Kadosh starts up higher, goes up higher and comes down further. The third Kadosh goes up higher and goes up higher, comes all the way down. The more holy Hashem is, the more he's able to reach down onto the deepest depths of degradation and filth. Rabbi Nachman's Torah is awesome in this, but it's the Baal Shem Torah's Torah, which comes from the Ari, which comes from the Rishimon, which comes from Adam Arishon. You see, I can't break it up anymore. It's one Torah. These are the names that I use. So basically, I'm finished. What's the takeaway? What's the takeaway? Life has meaning. Life is love. More takeaways.
I was totally blown away by it, that there's emotion in every one of us. Like when Torah's talking and those names are talking directly to you, that's an amazing.
That each one of us is a microcosm of not only of all of the whole cosmos and of the history of the earth, but the history of the great tzaddikim of the earth.
So when Hashem's speaking in the Torah, he's talking to you directly.
When Hashem is talking in the Torah, he's talking to each one of us directly. The stories of the Torah are the external garments of a deep inner story that each one of us should vibrate with. If the teachers are not teaching us to do that, we have to do it ourselves. Somehow we have to break it. We might invite into this class Yael Unterman. Who's Yael Unterman? So she learned bibliodrama. I met the author and the producer of bibliodrama, Asher Pitzela. Very nice guy. He was here visiting Yerushalayim. Did I tell this to everybody yet? See, he was here. You can go online and see bibliodrama. Amazing thing. He went to Europe for a university, and he met somebody who did psychodrama. It's a very deep thing to do psychodrama. family therapy is you do psychodrama, you role play the whole thing. It's very, very powerful. The emotions that are aroused. So that is, he went back to the States, and he's not religious, but he got into somehow reading the Bible. And he said, "Oh my goodness, these stories in the Bible are perfect scenes for people to play." And he'd get a group of people and give them each one to play a particular part, and said, "Go to make it up and do it. Here's the basic storyline." And they'd go on the story. And like, it didn't matter. It just went very deep. So when I met him, I said to him, "I'm the midrashim behind the stories. How do these people do it? Like, they don't even know the stories." He said, "You won't believe it, Avraham. They don't even know anything in the story, the characters themselves, when they play Moses or Tzipporah or Sarah or this or that. Amazing." So he said to me, "What do you want to play? What part do you want to play?" God? Why would I want to do that? So I took a very powerful scene for me in the Nach. And after a while, I was just bawling. I was crying. It was so deep. It hit me so deep because I felt completely what that character felt like, and it was exactly what I was feeling like in my life. It fused me with that character.
She wants to do one on Megillat Esther with us. So I came to, I guess, she sent to the harem. And, okay, what's she feeling? Someone said, "Oh, I'm so scared." And one woman said, "I'm so sick of living with that old righteous man. He never told me about clothes or makeup. I have no one to talk to. I want to get together with a whole bunch of other women." So cute. I was like, it was really tremendous. No one knew where we go. That was not me saying that.
It's sacrilegious, but it's
It
it's
really
good.
opens up so much.
Okay, everybody.
When you switch couples, like,
Is that Yael Underwood from England?
Yes.
Wow.
What?
Wow.
Well, so if I would sing it, I would read it, sing, but I just don't have a voice anymore. And I come in here for some reason. But God willing, sometime we'll get it back. Again, thank you. If you can think of where we should go with this, look at these diagrams, read the page that I sent out. Whoever's not on the list, put your name on the list. It's 30 shekels for the class. And I'll send you whatever I can. What else?
It was good.
Yeah?
Do you have more of these? Or
We have more.
can you bring me one next week?
Yeah, sure. Okay. This is the new one. So this is
Okay.
huh?
So let me- I might have to call you next week.
Yeah, next
Is
week.
that okay?
Yeah.
What?
Next week.
Should I take it now?
Yeah.
You sure? It's how much is it?
100.
It's 100. Yeah, I don't know if I have 100 on me.
Okay.
Can I give you next week?
I'll give you
You
now.
write me what?
I'll give you now, and she'll give me next week.
Okay,
You want to
thank
wait
you.
till she gives you, maybe?
Well, how do I know if I'm going to see you?
Look, you may have these pipe dreams and these fond wishes, okay, but that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you a thank you or something.
Tonight's class is gonna be on.
That was quite an evening.
Do you have to send it to me?
It was just the most authentic Shlomo thing.